Yeah, so in this match, I am Protoss. Normally, if the opponent is Zerg, I also will do Zealots along with the Oracle Rush. But if the opponent is, say, Protoss, then I will build Immortals along with the Oracle Rush. And then with the Terran, I will do the Templar. Actually, with the Zergs, I'll also throw in some Templars in there. And so I normally build the pylon early on so I can get those buildings going, the gateway, cybernautic, and then the Stargate afterwards for the Oracle Rush. I'll save resources or minerals, right? So I won't do the Vespine gas structure just yet. I'll do that after the gateway usually, like just now, right? And then sometimes I'll build it right after the first Vespine structure, and then given once I have enough for another Vespine structure. Other times I'll wait for the Cybernautic. It just depends on the strategy. And so right before the gateway structure gets built, I'll send a worker and then build the Cybernautic structure. Um, And so I've explored with other approaches to have the Oracle be trained. Which approach is trains the Oracle fastest, and this is the fastest that I've come up with. And so the cybernautics structure is just got built. The Stargate afterwards, right after the Stargate gets built, train an Oracle on. Sometimes, rarely, but I'll forget the food up there, right? The out of 23. So it's important to build another pylon so that, there isn't that delay. And I went ahead and built another pylon just because when I'm moving the Oracle to, take down the workers from the opponent's base, I don't have time to go back to my base and build another pylon. So that kind of takes care of that. It gives me much more extra time. So there's the Oracle being trained. And I normally will build another Oracle, right, after this one. Sometimes I go as much as 4 Oracles. The reason being is that sometimes the opponent will have a turret or something that's like anti-craft structure, right? Or a cannon, and 3 Oracles take care of cannon. Once the cannon is taken out, the workers are susceptible to the Oracle ray. But oftentimes they don't have a structure, an anti-air structure, and then just take out the workers if that's the case with the first Oracle. So you can see the opponent has their workers kind of going away from the bases. Usually they're not aware of that. Usually several workers are taken out before the opponent is able to catch on what's happening, right? And then I build my second base. I used to build my base shortly after the first 2 units, right? But then oftentimes what has happened is that there's could be a rush from the opponents, like circlings, right? So I found that building enough units like stalkers and sentries to defend the base in case I get rushed uh, it yields a much more higher win rate. And then I build my second base after I have sufficient army or small army to defend, right? Usually 5 or 6 consisting of Stalker, Sentry. So one thing about this particular match is that the opponents seem to be very aware of the Oracle Rush, right? He had turrets, right? As you can see, the oracles were being hit. He had a void ray. This is extremely rare. Most opponents in most patches, they're 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 catched off guard. Um, yeah, so I always make sure also that the second base and first base are building workers for the second base to be filled with the 16 out of 16 max workers. I'll use the that energy booster to have the workers built at a much faster rate, and then I'll use the oracle again. Sometimes the opponent is not ready for a second rush of oracle, like right here. And I'll even go as far as do a third oracle rush right after the first two. So there was the Templar structure, right? Because I know that the opponent has is Terran, right? And they're gonna likely build Marines, and the Templars are really good against Marines, but also other air like other units like the carrier when they're all clumped together. And so sometimes it's necessary to build cannons along the bases for protection in case there is an opponent wanting to drop units, not from the main entry, but from the non-ramp. I think that's what it's called, the non-ramp path. And so there I am building pylons around the base, and then the cannons afterwards. And so I do the same thing for the second base. There's the first cannon for the second base. There's another cannon. And so another thing with the oracles, I'll use them for scouting. Sometimes the opponent will build a third or their expansions on places that you normally wouldn't find them, right? Like sometimes even close to your bases, like one of the more adjacent mineral places that's close to your bases. And so since I'm building a lot of stalkers, I'm training the ability of blink, so they can be more effective against aircraft like carriers or void rays. So there's the first Templar. Usually I'll go for about average about 5. I think in this game though, I think I went more than that, just because I knew the opponent was gonna go carriers. Yeah, at this point, the sentry is not as effective. That unit is only good at the beginning. Um, at least for me in this strategy, the sentry, the shield that it provides the units, the anti-range attack, uh, is more beneficial, right, in the beginning of the game, and not so much later in the game. And so I didn't go, even though the opponent is one of the opponent is Protoss, I did not go for Immortals. Again, because I knew that he was going for carriers, more air units than Stalkers. But uh, I don't know. It's about 50-50, right? That the opponent might go mass Stalkers or go air. Um, so we're gonna have our first big battle in a bit. And you're gonna see that the Templars were really like instrumental in having success in that confrontation with the opponent. So yeah, normally the average of bases that I build is about three. Sometimes I'll go four. Um, not more rarely I'll go five. Um, and then like rarely ever one, right? I mean, you can't do much with one base. And there I'm building pylons along the third base, so I can build the cannons in case the opponent does not go through the main path of the ramp. And so I'll have the way I have it set up is that I'll have the Nexus on Control 1. I'll have other structures that are not the Nexus on Control 2, and I'll have my non-spellcasters on Control 3, spellcasters on Control 4, like the Templars. So here's the first battle, really the defining battle. First, in the defining battle. And you see right there the Templars. They're doing spread damage all along the clumping of the aircraft, the carriers and Tempest. And so that was a fairly easy win. Here again, Templars are effective against the Marines, the tanks, and just Templars in general against these sort of types of units, with the probably exception of Stalkers. You'd want to go more Immortals against those type of units. So another thing that you can do, and I do, is that after the Templars gets all their energy gets depleted and used up in the psionic storm, you can use that synchronization ability, right? It gives that unit Arcan, because for them to recharge again, it takes a while, and oftentimes there's going to be subsequent battles right after, say, a big battle like the one that just happened. So synchronizing them is probably a more beneficial than waiting for them to be charged again. So as you can see, I think, yeah, the first big battle that we had, we basically came out victorious, and so now the opponent has a very hard time generating enough units to do a counterattack. Um, at this point, I think it's basically a win for us, right? Yay, Templars!